face shot off in front of you? Are you prepared to face this type of reality? Are you ready for this? Because it's your neighborhood, and if you wanted to get out of the control like this is your choice. Ask yourself, are you ready for this? Are you gangster enough to basically face the AK-47? Are you ready for the drive-by shootings? Are you ready for somebody to tie your mother up just because you had on the wrong color? Are you ready for somebody to tie your little brother? I don't know if you heard the story. It was a story called 3 the Hard Way. And this happened in the 70s and the 80s. It's a true story. Jay-Z did a movie about it. It's called 3 the Hard Way. It was about 3 drug dealers in New York. A Puerto Rican drug dealer, 2 African Americans. They was best friends. Best friends. Then they got so out of control they started trying to kill each other. To one of the drug dealers, the Puerto Rican drug dealer took the nephew of another one, cut his finger off, his little brother. I mean the little brother, not the nephew. He kidnapped the little brother of his friend, cut the finger off, mailed it to his house and said, we have your little brother, here's his finger. If you don't give us $200,000 or $300,000, this is what's going to happen to you. Can you imagine this happening? Can you imagine this happen to you? Your best friend turned on you, kidnapped your little brother because now you're making money, he cut this little brother finger off. Can you imagine this happening? Well, look, man, this happened. And a few days later, he found the body of his little brother. They didn't end with that. A few months later, he found the body. This is true stories. And guess when this story happened? This story happened in the 1980s. This happened in America in the 1980s when you hear them type of stories in that time, it was outrageous to hear a story like that in America. Now, hearing a story in America about an individual getting kidnapped, this is like nothing. He got kidnapped. Okay, did they find him? No, he's dead. Okay, you want to go to the park? This is what happened because people are so numb from the stories and the murders in America. This is what's happening. This is what's going to happen to you guys if you guys don't turn your neighborhood around. If you guys don't get it together. If you guys don't get education. The most important education, of course, is why you created. The education of who's your Lord, who's your creator, but also you should want to get education and try to be the ones to bring some type of positive influence in your neighborhood. You should want to get educated so you can go back and open some businesses in your neighborhood. So therefore, if you see a friend of yours want to sell cocaine or sell drugs, you can say, look here, I just opened my own barbershop. You don't have to sell drugs no more. Come work for me. Because a wise person, a smart person, a smart individual would know he would see the end of hanging on the street life, hanging on the corner. If you don't see the consequence, if you don't see what's going to happen if you continue hanging on the corner, either you have a mental issue, either you might be a crazy person, or maybe you might have a mental issue. Because a wise person would know that you cannot be 30, 40 years old hanging on that same corner. You cannot be 40 or 50 years old hanging on that same corner. Eventually you should start saying, wait a minute, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do? Am I going to be 40 years old trying to sell marijuana for the rest of my life? 50 years old, living with my mother, or I'm going to try to turn my life around, get education, open some businesses, be a positive influence in my neighborhood. Because you can do that. We see that many times in America. And I'm going to use the story of Jay-Z. And the reason why I use this story not to basically glamorize the music industry or not to glamorize Jay-Z, but I'm going to use this story as an individual that knew the end of that street life, and he was smart enough to get away from it. Jay-Z, at one point, he was a big drug dealer in his neighborhood, to the point that he shot his own brother. Before he got into the music industry, when he was a kid, his own brother stole his stash. He picked up a gun, pointed at his brother, shot his own brother in the chest, almost murdered his own brother over this drug money, over drugs. And then Jay-Z eventually continued to do drugs, became one of the biggest drug dealers in the history of New York City. And he told himself that he started to notice that everybody around him that was selling drugs in his business was getting murdered or they was going to jail for the rest of their life. And he told himself, wait a minute. Basically, this is the outcome of this life. Everybody around me is either getting murdered or going to jail. What am I doing? What am I going to do with my life? Because obviously I can't do this forever. So Jay-Z decided to go back, get educated. He went back to a university, got a degree, came back and said, I want to get into the music industry. Not that I'm promoting that you get into the music industry. I'm promoting that this is a guy, his first step was education. His first step, he got educated. He got educated, got into the music industry, started a company, got successful. He's only about 37, 38 years old. African-American guy. Recently, he just purchased an NBA basketball team. An NBA basketball team. 30 years old, in his 30s, purchased an NBA basketball team from New Jersey, and I'm upset because, we want to get to the point of why I'm upset. He went to my neighborhood, purchased the New Jersey Nets, took them from New Jersey, took them to the same block he used to sell cocaine on, same block where his projects is. Now he called them the Brooklyn Nets, and now he's saying I'm giving people in my neighborhood opportunity to work. I want to give the people in my neighborhood an opportunity to not want to, if they don't want to sell drugs, I'm going to give them an opportunity to come work at the basketball, to come work at the Coliseum, to come work over here, to come get a job. But he did that with education. Who would have thought that a dude that was a big drug dealer in New York, that pulled a pistol one day, almost murdered his own brother, who would have thought that he would have been able to have a chance to say, you know what, when I get older, I'm going to buy my own basketball team. He said people in his neighborhood thought that he would never be able to make it out of that neighborhood alive. And he said the only thing that made him out of that got him out of that neighborhood alive besides the permission of God was education. Nowadays, you come to England, the kids feel like being a dummy make them more of a gangster. You got kids, if he feel like he's a high school dropout, that make him more of a gangster. You got to understand, man, this type of life not going to last forever. This type of life not going to last forever. You got to start thinking about what you want to do when you grow up. Your mother and father can't take care of you forever. You're going to have to stand on your 2 feet one day. In the drug trade, you're not going to, there's no criminal in the history of life that ever defeated the police. That ever was able to say, man, I've been selling drugs, who could be sitting with his grandson saying, you know what, grandson? I've been selling drugs before you was born. Nobody ever got that far in the drug life. Eventually, you're going to either get murdered, because this is how it works. Somebody going to see you making more money than them, they're going to murder you, or you're going to go to jail, or you're going to get hooked on your own drugs. These are the choices. So the other choice is that you go get some type of education. You try to be a positive influence in your neighborhood. Start some businesses, start some careers, bring something positive back to your neighborhood so that you don't have to say, you don't have to worry about when your baby brother or sister going to the school in the morning that they might not make it back home because somebody did a drive-by shooting. That you don't have to worry about that somebody might run up in your house of your mother and father, tie your whole family up. This is what you don't want to do. So it's very important that you guys get it together. Think about your future, think about your neighborhood, because it's real out here, and you guys are getting to where we're trying to run away from in America. Even the gangsters in America, who started the Bloods and the Crips saying, I wish we would have never done this. Even gangsters are saying, because it came back to step on their steps. It came back on their front porch. And they saying now, I wish I would have never got involved in it. So you guys got the chance to think. You could go on the internet, go on YouTube, look at America, look at the streets of America. Just look at what the gang violence is doing in America. You can ask yourself, do you want to be in that situation? Go to YouTube and type up the gangs in America, Bloods and Crips in America, and look how they're killing each other like animals. And then you can look back and say, okay, do we want our city to get that way? So the choice is yours. Thanks a lot for your time. I think after this we'll have a few questions and answers. Jazakallah khair. Thanks a lot. Unfortunately, they never found the person that killed Pop. You know, they still never found the person that killed him on Biggie Small. No, I don't think Biggie Small wasn't no type of guy that would want to get nobody shot. You know, he wasn't a gangster at all, and I don't think he didn't have nothing to do. What happened when Pac got into a fight in California, in Las Vegas, with one of these guys? They were some street individuals. And they basically came back later and they retaliated. That's how it works out there, you know? The religion of Islam literally gave me life, man. And now that I'm a Muslim, I can look back and say that I was living as if I was a walking zombie. Because before the religion of Islam, I truly had no respect for no one. I had no respect for nobody's life. It was a time in my life that sometimes I think back and I ask, where did I get this anger in? I used to have so much anger in me, man, that I swear to God, wallahi, I used to walk around with a loaded gun, and there's times that I would go and look at a person, and I would say in my head, please let this person say something to me so I can shoot him. I had so much anger in me that I used to try to make an excuse to take a person's life. And it got to a point that one day I almost took a person's life, and I shot up a car. And thank God I didn't take a person's life. I'm not a person that's going to brag and say, yeah, I murdered a person. I'm glad that I could sit here in front of you and say I never took a person's life. But it was a time in my life that I had no respect. I thought that I was the one. I thought I was self-sufficient. I thought I was the one that was in control of my money. I thought I was the one that was in control of my sex. I had no respect for women. You know, nowadays you got people going around saying that the Muslims oppress their women. I would say before I became a Muslim, no one taught me how to treat a person with respect as a man or a woman. I come from an industry that teaches to disrespect women in music, to oppress women through our songs. It wasn't until I became a Muslim and read the biography of the Prophet Muhammad, and he said, those that are best of you are those that are best for my Muslim ummah, are those that are best for their wives. And I said, wait a minute, that ain't what my uncle and cousins told me. That ain't what the people from the block. Let me read more about this religion. Let me be more about how you interact with the people, how the people have